Good night, good night, good night. I am so happy to be in Hearts Gap tonight. St. Michael South on one side, Christchurch West on the other. It is a wonderful feeling to be sandwiched between two constituencies, both of which will be brought home by the Barbados Labour Party candidates. Now, I just heard a piece of Jerome. I understand that before him, Noy Lynch was here and there was Capis and Pepper. I'm sorry that I missed those performances. My style is a little bit different, but that is what makes the world go around, right? But whatever style a person chooses to speak to you in, the critical thing is the message. And some of us have the fire and the brimstone, others of us have a quieter personality. But the one thing that is consistent is the message. And the message of the Barbados Labour Party, howsoever it is delivered, is that the time has come for us to bring an end to this suffering. The time has come to bring an end to the rampant victimization that the Dems are presiding over. The time has come for us to deliver the people of Barbados out of this bondage. The last 5 years have been the most difficult 5 years in generations. You know, there are people who are talking to me and they want to take us back. They want to take us back to the 1990s. And our biggest problem today is that we have a generation of young Barbadians who do not remember anything called a 8% cut. You know that. There are a lot of 24 and 25-year-olds who do not remember the dark days of the Democratic Labour Party when they were last in power. All they know in their growing up years has been the Barbados Labour Party in government. But now they are feeling the kind of pain and anguish that the Dems have a track record for in this country. I am so happy to see a sea of red tonight because for the first time, Barbados Labour Party supporters are feeling able to come out in their colors. There's a man in my constituency who reads meters, and his favorite color is red, and he had a red cap. And Arnie Walters, when he was at the Water Authority, called him in and asked him, "But Chief, why you wear red every day?" Arnie Walters, his interest was not in whether the fellow was well-dressed or not. His concern was the color that he was wearing. And the people at CBC Frontal Shirt called down furious and forced CBC to cancel the Sockaholics because the people said that their color was going to be red. In those two incidents, you should begin to understand that the Democratic Labour Party is extraordinarily fearful of the power of red when red rises up. And that is where we are today. The red in Barbados has risen up. And we are saying to the Democratic Labour Party, the time has come for you to go. All across Barbados, every constituency is mobilized. And they're mobilized not because of what we do as parliamentarians. They are mobilized because they have had enough. They are at the end of their tether. And you know, we cannot remind you enough that in the last 5 years, 16,000 Barbadians lost jobs. It took an Owen Arthur administration 14 years to create 30,000 jobs for Barbadians, to bring unemployment down from 26% down to 6%. It took us 14 years to do it. And the Democratic Labour Party has almost wiped out that in just 5 short years. What it took us 14 years to build, by year 2, 10,000 people had lost jobs. By today, it is 16,000 people. And Jerome mentioned the debushing program. You know, that is a bold political gimmick to try to soften the impact of these job losses in the hope that you will be fooled into thinking that the Dems have brought jobs to the people of Barbados. They're smart, you know. As Jerome says, these jobs are just short-term jobs. How much bush they got in Barbados to cut down? In the dry season, yes. It is true that there's a lot of bush, and there are a lot of people cutting it down. But those jobs are not jobs that are intended to last for any long period of time. But have you noticed that they've been saying that the Barbados Labour Party will be the party that sends home people? Their plan is to bring on hundreds of people to do short-term debushing jobs. They have not told them that they're only going to be working for 4 or 5 weeks. And when the Barbados Labour Party, and I say when the Barbados Labour Party gets into power on the 21st of February, when those jobs come to an end, they'll be saying, so what there? The Barbados Labour Party sent home people. That's the plan, you know. That's the plan. Can you imagine the kinds of warped personalities you would have? And Jerome, he started to describe them. I don't know if he used medical terms or not, but you have to have a warped mind to play such a nasty, vicious trick on the people of Barbados just so as to secure an election victory. But I am not surprised, and I hope that you are not surprised. And I hope that all those people who voted for the Democratic Labour Party have started to understand the levels of deceit that the Democratic Labour Party is capable of. When they came to you in 2008, they came to you promising a whole raft of things, not one of which they have delivered in any meaningful way. Not one. And I don't know if Jerome spoke about the cafeteria, and if he did, Jerome, I'm sorry for going over what you've gone over. But I said it last night and I'll say it again. You cannot come to the people of Barbados and boast that you have built a cafeteria at the QEH. Barbados has grown accustomed to greatness. We have grown accustomed to projects that leave a legacy for generations to come. We have grown accustomed to new airports. We have grown accustomed to expanded highways, judicial centers, Coast Guard buildings, new police stations, new civic centers, all kinds of things the Barbados Labour Party has been proud to deliver to the people of Barbados, and all that Don Valinis can give to the people of Barbados as his achievement for 5 years is a new cafeteria at the QEH. The people in St. Joseph say, man, call it a canteen, call it what it is, don't mind the fancy word. A canteen. After 5 years of governance, they can come to us and say, vote for the Democratic Labour Party because we have built a canteen. Healthcare in Barbados is crying out for urgent attention. You have thousands of people who, though they were not born in Barbados, they have given every ounce of their energy to the building of this country, but they're told, you can't get attention at the QEH. You have a drug service that just so they could save a measly $12 million a year, they have increased the cost of medication to all Barbadians so that you and I don't have to pay for what the drug service was giving us free. Think about that. But yet still they could find it possible to give wasteful constituency councils $6 million a year. That money was too good to ensure that you were getting free medication, but it is not too good to allow a bunch of DLP sycophants to run up and down this country saying that they are doing community projects. They have not even so much as built a step in my constituency, and I have a feeling that they haven't done very much in St. Michael South or in Christchurch West either. The Dems have presided over the pauperization of our country. But what do you expect? When 16,000 people lose jobs, does it surprise you that the level of poverty in our nation is at an unprecedented high, the highest it has been in a whole generation? How can it surprise you? There are mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, who are without jobs today simply because the DLP's only interest in January of 2008 was winning an election. They wanted to win. They wanted to win at any cost. It didn't matter what they had to do. They made unsavory alliances. We've spoken about the relationship between Michael Ashley and St. Philip and Bounty. We've spoken about those things. They did not care what they had to do. They were the most Machiavellian bunch ever to have crossed the political landscape of this country. We will win at no cost. We will win at any cost, was what they said. But having won, then what? Is it not the obligation of a government to see to the good governance of a country? Is it not the obligation of a government to ensure that its people are prosperous, that they live well, that they have things that they can be proud about? But having won, then they found themselves in a position where they didn't know what to do. And in their ignorance, they went into the public service of Barbados and decided that the problem with what was happening in our country, if there was a problem at all, was that bees were working and working hard. So they went in and they took up 30-something people at the UDC and sent them home. Send them home. They fired George Edgell, who was CEO at National Housing Corporation, after a cabinet meeting one day in public. They terminated the contract to expand the highway in Parliament. Good governance is not something that the Dems understand. And you know, perhaps the most grievous offense of all, they took a well-run police service, perhaps the finest police force in the Caribbean, properly equipped, because we made sure we did that. And before I conclude the point, it is important for me to tell you this. When we came to government, police were struggling. They weren't making any money. In fact, things were so bad that many of them used to moonlight constantly just to be able to make ends meet. And you know, police would work all night. Police officers would work till 7 o'clock in the morning, and they have to go to court at 9 and stand up in a courtroom and give evidence. And by the end of it, sometimes they got to leave court and go back to work. And we said that this was not good enough. We are going to compensate these police officers for that additional time, and we did. We gave them a $10 million fleet of motor vehicles. We built new police stations. We re-equipped the bomb squad. We gave them additional facilities through the Coast Guard. All those things we did for the Royal Barbados Police Force because we understood that policing is a difficult job, and those fine men and women had to have the best that money could buy. But the Dems came in and they felt that the police force was full of bees. I don't know what they thought. We don't send people to work in the police force. Barbadians decide this is the career they want. And they decided that they were going to so warp the operations of the police force that today the morale of the Royal Barbados Police Force is the lowest that it has been in 25 years. Police officers, and some of them are here, and they will tell you, they don't have any ammunition for them to practice shooting on the range. Now, you know, police are here to protect me and to protect you, and we have confidence in them. But if they cannot practice essential skills, then you are sending fine men and women to fight a battle that they're not equipped for. Their uniforms got holes. They don't have logbooks. Basic fundamentals the police force has been deprived of. And all that the DLP could do is to launch an attack on the police force because they felt it was politically expedient to do so. I said to Adriel Braffett and to Frondell Stewart, you are doing wrong. If you want to play political games, pick the National Assistance Board. Pick NHC. Not that those places should be dealt with in that way, because we never did. But if you feel that you got to manipulate things, do not trouble the police force. The integrity of the police force has to be maintained in this country at any cost, because the safety of its citizens ranks far higher, far higher than any political expedient motive of who is the commissioner of police or the deputy. You know, in my term as Attorney General, I never asked the commissioner of police a single political question. I never asked him to promote the body because this body was a B. He ran the force, and he knew his officers. And as far as I was concerned, the decisions that he made, as long as he made them in good faith and using proper judgment, those decisions were fine with me. I had no business meddling. I would have no business meddling in the police force to decide who gets promoted or who doesn't get promoted, who works in which department or who doesn't work in that department. But they have destroyed the police force. They have destroyed virtually Parliament. Owen called them wild boys, and some people were vexed. But let me ask you this. Was Owen Arthur not correct? By their conduct, have they not proven that they are in fact wild boys? I stand victim today without any justice. From a man running in St. Philip, as Lynette says, he is the only parliamentarian who says that he is a bulldog. Okay? Who brandished a firearm at me, but up to this day, he has not been punished